I am a temple who walks the earth. My womb is fertile for giving birth. I am a woman planted in truth. I grow my branches from sacred roots. You are the form of who you want to be. So come untethered, your soul is free. We're here to heal, we're here to thrive. We are a dream who's come alive. We light a candle, our hearts awake. Illumination for God's sake. A revelation for God's sake. An evolution for God's sake. An inspiration for God's sake. 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 For God's sake.
And so it is. Hello, Essence. I'm Jody England, and you're listening to Wild Soul Medicine Radio. Welcome back for those of you who joined us last week, and welcome to those who may be joining us for the first time today. So today we're going to do some receiving of calls. We're going to listen to callers, and I'm going to do some seeing into what's up for them and deliver some wild soul medicine. If you're interested in calling in, the number is 937-552-2747, 937-552-2747. And while we wait for some callers to arrive, I'd just like to kind of touch base on a couple things that are present for me. So many of you have written in support and validation and acknowledgement and alignment with the message from last week, which was the heretic's path. And if you didn't listen to that show, you can catch the replay in the archives. But, you know, it was really gratifying to see that so many of you are also having similar experiences, that you are finding things in your lives that are no longer in alignment and having to make these hard decisions about what to let go of and what to keep, and discerning what is truth and what is real. And, you know, it's a difficult thing to do, and I think nearly impossible to do on your own. So I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're asking the questions. It feels good to my soul to know that I'm not alone, and to know, for you to know that you're not alone, that we're all just figuring this out. And it certainly can feel like you are lost. And I have to tell you, you know, for those of you who heard how emotional the show was for me last week, I have to tell you, I'm not an extremely emotional person. I actually don't cry very much at all. And these last several shows have just been hitting on some tough places for me. And so I appreciate you hanging in there with that. And, you know, I guess I want to not apologize for it, but also just kind of let you into a window of the fullness of who I am, which is I'm also really not in drama that much. And I tend to roll pretty easily and steadily through my life and through my creation. So, you know, that's part of embracing all of us, is allowing it all to be okay, right? So it's not about showing up crying every day as a gimmick, right? I talked about that last week, of people who are like, here comes a vulnerable email, are you ready? And then, you know, everybody is, you know, expecting that there's going to be some big reveal. And it's also not about showing up as if everything is perfect, because it isn't. And at the same time, so we're really just embracing the path wherever we are. We're being in present. We're being with what is. And so what I wanted to share about last week is, in some ways, it was really freeing to share that story with you about stepping out of the High Priestess book project. And in other ways, it scared the hell out of me. And it continued to scare me. The gremlins really showed up near bedtime when I started thinking about, what have I just done? Have I totally ruined my career? What if these women never speak to me again? What if no one ever wants to work with me again because they're afraid I'm going to tell the truth about things? I really was in terror around it. And sometimes that's what happens when we finally step out of the comfort zone. It can be difficult to, because the ego is still going to be, even if you can get the ego to step aside for a minute to do the thing, right, to be in essence, then the ego is still clamoring to have its position back. So it's still saying, what did you do? And you were so stupid. And why can't you just show up and do what you're supposed to do? Or, whatever the gremlin is saying to you at the time. So, just so you know, that is all part of it as well. And you just keep leaning in, right? So you say, hello, ego, thank you for keeping me safe. And, it's all good. And so your messages really meant a lot to me as I was still navigating the terrain of that. And so today I am showing up in service of you, of meeting your gremlins, of seeing your shadowy stuck places, of finding where you may be out of alignment. And this weekend marks the summer solstice. And the solstice is important because it is the apex of the coming of the light, right? So the sun is always journeying. And the summer solstice is the day that is the most light in the whole year. And if you're not someone who has ever paid much attention to that or celebrated that much, I encourage you to get in alignment with the energy of nature. I know for years I was curious about it, but I never actually, took the initiative to create a celebration for myself. And I would see my cool friends doing things and wish I would get invited to something like that. But I, never actually did it for myself. And so, even if it's something small, maybe you take some flower petals and make a beautiful mandala for yourself outside in the sunshine on Saturday, or maybe you light a fire, or maybe you get up early. Solstice actually occurs at 6:51 a.m. on Saturday morning, at least in the on Eastern time. So maybe you get up in the morning and you say a little prayer and do a meditation as the sun is beginning to shine for the day. So whatever it is, see if you can bring some of that energy into your space where you are aligning with the coming of the light, enlightenment, right? That's really what our path is ultimately about, is moving out of the darkness and the heaviness and the, these old feelings of everything being a struggle and suffering and hardship, and moving into and aligning with the possibility of ease and grace and alignment, right? So the coming of the light. So that's what we're playing with here today. And I am open to answering any questions you may have. I'll give the number again, 937-552-2747, 937-552-2747. And so you can ask a question really regarding anything. Some of the last several shows have been about parenting, about the heretic's path, about being down and in our lives, not hovering above them. So it can be about any of those things. It can also be about really any place that you're feeling stuck or wanting to come into alignment with yourself. So It looks like we have a couple of callers in the queue, so we will take our first caller now. Viv, when you're ready. And remember, for those of you listening, even if you are not the caller, you can certainly benefit from following along with her clearing. So how we do that is we talk about matches. So whatever is up for her, there is likely medicine in my work with her that will also serve you. So you can imagine that you are her and you can clear right along with her. Or, you can actually just set the intention that as she clears, you also clear. So you don't actually have to be on the line in order to receive the benefit of what's happening here live. So we'll wait just a minute for those calls to come through. There we go. Okay, so. Hi, is this Brandy?
Hi.
Hi, you're on the air. How are you?
Shaky. I'm okay.
Yeah. Shaky, nervous about being on the line?
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, thanks for honoring that and calling in anyway. There must be some medicine here for you. So let's hear what that is. What would you like to look at today?
My relationship.
Okay. Great. So tell me what's happening there.
I've been dating a man, for 2 years. It'll be 2 years in July 23rd. And, I love him a lot. And, we don't live together, kind of traditional. But I'm kind of hitting a point where I want to move forward, but I don't want to force it on him. And part of me is even curious if he's the right guy for me. And I'm actually terrified. I feel like I should be with him, but sometimes I don't know. And I feel like I want to be deeper with him in a relationship. And I feel like I'm always just juggling 100 things, and I went back to school and I work full time, and he's busy. It's always about being busy, and I just want things to open up deeper. I listened to all your recordings, your tracks, like a couple weeks ago when I got turned on to it. I know Viv, and I listened to her, the track with her in it. And then I heard all the other ones like in one day. I really liked them all, so I just went 100% on that. But I haven't listened for the last 2 weeks. I was trying to make sure that I didn't use up all my overdo my data, and also make sure that I stayed true to going back to school and honored that commitment. And I was getting a little sidetracked.
Beautiful.
But I
Beautiful.
feel like there's something you have that speaks to me. I don't even know what to say.
I got it. Thank you. So if you had to summarize your question about your relationship, there were a few in there. See if you could give me a summary of what is it exactly you'd like to know about your relationship.
Is he the one?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got it. Okay, so you ready to play?
Yeah.
Okay.
That question. Let's play.
All right. So I first want to just honor your courage. I know this takes a huge amount of bravery to step out here and share your personal stuff, right? So we're just going to get right to it. When I look at your relationship with him, do you want to give his first name?
No.
Okay. When I look at your relationship with him, it looks to me like there's an energy that you bring to that relationship, which is clingy, right? Like it's actually more than clingy. It's more like, it's like he's standing still and I see you literally like wrapped around him in desperation, like holding on and like very afraid to lose him. And it looks like the impulse of that, right? So that's a coping mechanism from your ego because something happened earlier in this lifetime for you, which felt like I have to hold on or I'm going to be left alone, right? So when you're operating from that subconscious belief, it actually isn't about having a relationship of intimacy where you're being met and loved. It becomes about, can I keep him? Can I get him? Right? Can I have him turn my direction rather than filling yourself up and then coming into the relationship as an equal whole? Does that make sense?
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is a particular medicine, a soul medicine path. I actually share that one with you. And so I think what speaks to you about this work is it about essence, right? And so in essence, that's where we are filled up in ourselves. And from that space, we do things like have relationships and love other people, but we do it from a space of wholeness rather than, oh, there's a gap in me, or I'm leaking my energy and I need you to fill that for me. Please.
I feel like everything you're saying resonates. Honestly, it does.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
Well, it feels like a lot of times I do feel clingy, and I don't want to feel clingy. And I'll do things to, I'll try to pull back. Mm-hmm. But it feels like it's not true either.
Yes.
Because I think I'm not operating from the level of authenticity. I'm operating from the level of ego and fix it to get the result and be manipulative.
It is. And it's also, that's what happens when we're, smart, intelligent women and we can see, oh, I'm being clingy. I need to stop doing that to have a healthy relationship. And then you don't exactly know how to do that because your cells are not vibrating at that level, right? So your mind can have you do some things like, oh, I'll play coy, or I will, not tell him that I don't want him to go do that thing and be with me instead. Or I'll get super busy with my work so I don't have to even address it. But those are false because they're still not in alignment. It's still not you being full. It's you trying to pretend like you're not desperate, which just kind of makes desperate even worse, right?
Right.
Yeah, I see you. All right, so why don't we play with this? Let's see if we can do a healing where we can connect you to yourself so you can just have an experience of what that is. How does that sound?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I want you to close your eyes and just receive a deep breath, if you would. Good. And then see if you can locate yourself right here. So what I noticed as we closed our eyes and settled in, you kind of floated away. Did you feel that?
I went up. Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh, yeah. Yeah, which is another coping mechanism, So what you can do is actually cue your body to safety.
That's so weird.
Weird that you do that, or weird that I see you do that?
I like it.
Nice.
Okay.
Okay. So go ahead and just rub your legs so you can feel your body, right? Oh, hello, body. There it is. You might even want to open your eyes and look at your legs, so that you can see that you do have a body and it's okay to be here. What do you notice when you do that?
I'm just crying now.
Yeah. Yeah. That's perfect, right? This is one of the things you're avoiding by going up. So just be with that. And as you feel into the quality of the tears, are you present to what emotion goes with them?
Fear and sadness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which one feels most on top, the fear or the sadness?
Fear.
Mm-hmm. Great. Good. So let's lean into the fear a little bit and see if you knew what the fear is about. What would it be?
Being abandoned. being scared of. I feel so cliche saying it, but it's my dad.
I know, right? Yeah. Yeah, and by the way, for those listening, abandonment is a story. And so it doesn't necessarily mean that your dad actually left you, although it could. It can also be that you believe that that happened, right? You believe that somebody should have been there for you in a way that they weren't, right? And so that's the thing that you then start protecting against. But in your case, Brandy, it sounds like, did your dad actually leave?
Well, when I was 14, yeah, he physically left, yeah.
But he was pretty absent before that?
Yeah, emotionally absent. I lived with him since I was 3 when my parents got divorced. He wasn't really present.
Got it. Got it. So you're recreating that in your relationship with your boyfriend, right?
All the time.
Yeah, where you're there, but you're not there.
Yeah, I get mad at him for it.
Yeah. I know. And you know what's crazy? If he actually did show up more physically, you would find a way to be less there.
Oh.
Yeah, because you actually have your
story,
system.
too.
Sorry, go ahead.
To like prove the story is true to myself.
Yeah, I mean, really to prove that you can protect yourself from the story, right? So we go about complaining about the thing that we are really committed to having. So if you create the abandonment, at least you know where it's coming from. So there's a modicum of control in there, which feels good to our system, right? I'm not going to get surprised by the leaving, so I'm just going to keep doing the leaving, or I'm going to keep doing the pushing away. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah, and of course, the more that you come at him in desperation, the more he's like, I'm being suffocated. I need some space, right? And I actually see he's pretty patient with you in that. It looks like he, he's hanging in there pretty good given the level of desperation that's coming at him. And at a certain point, he can't breathe, so he's got to extricate himself a little bit. So we can just love ourselves in that. We can just love ourselves in this little girl coping mechanism, right? It's our little girl who's like, I am not having that experience again because that sucked, right? Yeah. So as you feel the fear, I was giving you some words while you were leaning into the fear. It feels like the fear is kind of dissipating. Do you notice that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so look at that. You've just been in your body for a couple minutes and you survived it. Whoa. Nice. Okay, so now we have the sadness, right? Yeah, so see if you'd be willing to be with the sadness for a minute. Yep. And see if you can open your eyes so you can stay with it.
Oh, my eyes have been open.
Okay, good. All right, then maybe shake your body a little bit so you can be in the body. Just kind of jiggle your legs and shake your hands. Feel the body. So your system believes that if you feel the level of grief that is here, it will kill you. Does that make sense? Yeah. The truth is, emotions are just energy. So it can feel like that will happen, but I promise you it will not kill you. And on the contrary, when you lean all the way in to the feeling, it will actually dissipate. It's the resistance of the feeling that has the feeling hang around all these years. Does that make sense? So go ahead and close your eyes. And see if you can find that place where you store all that grief. And see if you'd be willing to, can you put your hand on the door where you keep it? Good. And we'll just take it slow. You don't even have to open it yet. You can just feel the energy of what's behind the door. And so what do you notice?
Well, I'm having trouble visualizing if I'm my vantage point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be looking at the door towards my body, like as if I'm an outsider looking in, or if I'm looking at the door from inside my body and then, like, just visualizing it from my point of view in my brain, like my mind's eye.
Got it. Beautiful. So thank you for saying that. And also that's a reflection of how you actually have learned to navigate space, which is you're outside of yourself navigating it from other people as a way to stay connected. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
I know, right? There's a little unconscious, like, what? I think so, yes.
Well, I tend to be kind of spacey, so I get that.
Yeah, right. Well, that's part of what the jumping out. So you're learning a lot about your coping mechanisms here, which is great. Because there's nothing wrong with coping mechanisms, by the way. They're actually a sign of a very healthy psyche. So we love them. And we're also not trying to get rid of them. We're just becoming aware of them so that they don't happen when you don't want them to happen. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. All right, so we're going to go inside your body. So I actually feel like the grief is stored in your heart space. It's kind of, for me, it looks like it's sort of between the heart chakra and the solar plexus, sort of right between your breasts, actually. Maybe just a little down from there. So imagine that you can step into your body right in that space. There you go. All right, so let's just pause here. I want you to feel what it's like to actually be inside your own body. That's sort of wild, right? Yeah. And it's okay. I saw you jump out, and then, so you're just going to keep playing with it. So you're going to jump out, and then you're going to come back in. Would it be safe for you to just play in here for a minute? If you hate it, you can always jump back out. We're just going to have an exploration.
I know what it feels like to go in. You just want me to go inside of myself?
Yes, please.
Okay.
There you go. Good. Good. So what does it feel like to be inside your space?
No, I'm crying.
Yeah. Yeah. This is what you're running from all the time. You're running from these tears in here. Mm-hmm.
It's okay.
Yeah, they're just tears, right? You can even touch them. Touch them and feel them. There's a lot of toxins getting released in there. There's energy moving in there. Mm-hmm.
Okay, now what do you want me to do?
Great. So I want you to celebrate that you're inside your body. First of all, I'm going to celebrate that with you. Yay. Good. Okay, so let's just play here. I don't know if we even need to do the tears. Let me see if we need it. I think you're already doing it just by being there. Okay, so what we're going to do from here is we're going to actually play with turning up your essence, right? With expanding and filling yourself with yourself. How does that sound?
Okay.
Okay. So I want you to imagine that in this space, there is a volume knob. And the volume knob goes from 0 to 10. And it's a reflection of your essence. How much is your essence actually out in your space? So let me know when you can imagine that you see the volume knob.
I see it.
Okay. And what is it set on? Do you mind sharing?
2.
Yeah. Yeah. Super common, right? Especially when you're out in public and on a radio show. It's like, oh, let me see. I'm going to act like I'm supposed to act. And, all those reasons we turn it down. All right. So we're going to imagine that you can begin turning the knob up. So we're just going to turn it up to a 3. By the way, this exercise is great for everybody listening. We can all be more in our essence, and this is a great way to do it. So turn the volume knob up to 3. And what you're imagining is your essence is the truest part of who you are. It's your soul. And so if you imagine the soul inside the body, as we expand the soul, it's going to fill out the body as if it's a hand filling a glove, right? So at a certain point, you're going to just sort of merge with the essence. You won't necessarily be standing there turning the knob. You'll just be feeling yourself turning the knob. Does that make sense? You'll just sort of be absorbed in the essence. You might already be doing that. Okay, great. All right, so let's go ahead and turn it up to a 4. And so notice what it feels like at a 4. So there might be some uncomfortable places. Are you aware of those?
Yes.
Yeah, what does it feel like where it's uncomfortable?
4. My shoulders are sore.
Shoulders, okay. Great. Anywhere else?
I don't know. I've been sweating on this call anyway.
Yes, right. That's actually a good thing. Sweating is moving energy too. I sweat a ton when I move energy. And almost no other time. When I work out, I don't sweat at all. But when I do energy work, whoo. So that's a good sign. Okay, so these uncomfortable places are coping mechanisms you have put into your energy system that says it's not safe to be full of myself, because that's when bad things happen, right? When you're full of yourself and you're not tracking other people, that's when they walk out the frickin' door, right?
That feels really true.
Yeah. So, and that actually was a false belief that got programmed into your system, right? Because when we're little, we don't actually have the tools to do anything different. And so our world depends on these big people in our lives who, do these human things that don't feel good to us. And we don't really have a say. And so what we have to do is go internal and say, okay, if I was going to try to avoid that again, here's what I think I need to do, Yeah. So in reality, your dad leaving, I don't want to minimize the story of the pain. Like, I get why there's a story about that being painful. And you are victimizing yourself with the story and causing more and more pain around it every time you say it to yourself. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. And so you have this opportunity to move some of these pieces out of your energy system now that you're coming into enlightenment about them, right? Now that you can see, oh yeah, I'm not 5 anymore. I'm not 14 anymore. This is a whole different relationship. So can I go ahead and let go of some of those things in my neck and my shoulders that would have me gripping and have me not being flexible, right? About letting go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. So to help you with that, go ahead and turn your essence up to a 5 and let it do some of the work. Your essence is really powerful, so it can just dissolve some of those things for you. There you go. Nice. There's a little taste of ease and grace. Now let's play with turning it up to a 6. And allow it to expand downward as well as up. Nice. Good work. Good work. All right, so we're going to keep going. Sorry, it's very tingly, right?
Yeah, my feet were like, I normally don't feel the bottom half of my body.
Yes, I get that.
It did.
Yeah, because if you did, you'd have to be all the way down and in your body.
Yeah.
And you're hovering above the top in case you got a bolt. So yeah. So hello, lower body. I have one. Great. Great. All right. So let's play with going to a 7. Good. And so here, instead of imagining pushing the essence out, instead imagine taking your hands off the wheel, right? And watch what happens. There you go. See how it like wants to plump up?
I felt more like it just swished up and down.
Squished up and down. Did it expand and then go back down?
No, it felt like it was going like up and down my body.
Yeah. Got it. I think we're saying the same thing. So check your knob and see, what does it feel like your knob is set on right now?
6.5.
Okay, great. All right. So let's see if we can go back to the 7. Just notice what happens there at the 7. All right. So it feels like there's maybe a little resistance in the heart space at the 7. Do you notice that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt some pain get activated there. All right. So go ahead and just say hello to that pain. That's old.
Hello.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, nobody's hurting you right now, right? So it might make sense to just allow that pain to be moved out. You can always check it out again later if you need it. For right now, you could just allow the essence to just, almost like it could embrace it with love, and then allow it to begin to move out of the space of the heart so the heart can be fully in essence. Good. How does that feel?
Calmer.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So we're going to go ahead and keep going. I know we're spending a lot of time on this, but it's so relevant. It's so perfect. So we're just going to keep doing it. So let's turn it up to an 8 now. And allow the 8 to reach the back of you, right? So the back is where we register support. And it looks like you are always the one doing the supporting, which is another way of not being abandoned, right? If we're always the one giving, then we don't have to expect anything or wait for anything. But it also makes a really tough life, and it's super hard to be met in a relationship if you're not willing to allow yourself to be supported, right? Yeah. So imagine that the essence coming all the way to the back and just massaging through those tight, clenched muscles. As if you can give yourself a massage from the inside out. And as it taps each of the muscles, they get permission to let go, let go, let go. Beautiful. Great. How does that feel at an 8?
Feels like I want to do it, but I'm having trouble feeling it.
Yeah, I can feel those muscles in the back. Particularly, almost feels like your back is sort of seized up. Do you feel that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's do this. Let's see. Oh, could we tickle your back? Like if you could just imagine energetically tickling your back? Because this doesn't have to be so serious, right? There you go. Oh, yeah. Fun. What if it could be fun?
Red flag.
Nice. Good. Now there's room for the 8. Hello, essence. And let the essence tickle its way in there. It's not going to overtake it. It's not going to overpower it. It's just going to play in there wherever there's room. Good. Yep. And then go ahead and cue your body to safety. So feel those legs again. Just give them a little tap or a caress. It's safe to do this. It's really, really safe. So I think we're going to just, we're going to stay here at the 8. In fact, if you want to even go back down to the 7, and just to make sure you're not right at your threshold. So let's go back down to the 7 where it was a little more comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Good. So there's plenty of room above the 7, but we're going to stay here. I want you to just imagine having an interaction with Bill from this space.
He doesn't know how to take me now.
Mm.
I'm powerful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think he likes it, though.
I was going to say he likes it quite a bit. He doesn't know what to make of it, but he likes it. He's like, who is this goddess? Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it could be the most simple interaction from, saying hello to him when you get home from work from this space to, making love to him from this space or having dinner with him from this space. Right?
Mm-hmm. 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 I feel like an adult.
I know. Isn't that awesome?
Like energy-wise, that's a big deal.
I know. You just grew yourself
like I'm,
up.
Like smaller than him, like the whole comparison, it's energy. It's how silly.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it made sense. It made sense when the illusion was in place.
So back to the original question, it's not even about having the answer to that. Mm-hmm. It's me owning my own essence.
Yeah. Yep. Because it's not about whether, he'll be the one if you're the one. Mm-hmm. Right? It's not about anybody else having a say in that, including him. It's what do you want? Are you showing up? Are you fully here? That's it. And that's everything.
Thanks for spending so much time with me.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for playing. It was beautiful. Beautiful to witness. All right, my love. You know what? You're welcome. You can listen to the recording of this. You could do this practice each day for yourself again, right? Just work this into your meditation each morning. If you don't have a meditation, start doing this.
Okay.
And then once you can always play with going above the 7 and like that, but it'll really be a good anchoring point for you within that relationship.
Okay.
Beautiful. All right. Thank you, Brandy. Oh, yes. Right. Yes. Thank you for your medicine. I can feel everyone nodding their head and saying, yes, yes, yes. Me too.
Thanks, Jody.
Beautiful. Mm-hmm. Bye, honey.
Bye, Jody.
Okay. So let's take another caller. And while we're waiting for the next caller to pop in here, everybody just go ahead and take a big deep breath. Feel yourself in your own body. Pull your energy back if you had matches with Brandy. Allow Brandy to have your space and you have your space. Take the lesson in for yourself and be in your own essence as we listen to the medicine from our next caller. Hello, is this Cookie?
Yes, this is Cookie.
Hello, love. You are live on the air. How are you?
I am fine. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thanks for calling in. I know you called in last week and we didn't quite get to you, so I'm glad you're back.
Okay, thank you so much. Mm-hmm. First, I'm thinking about the path that you were talking about last week, the heretic path. Mm-hmm. And let me give you a little background. I just left corporate America after 28 and a half years. And I just am on this path of, I want to change my whole world. I want to change everything in it. I was in the medical profession, and I started there because my desire was, I love people, so I began to, say the medical field, taking care of people is the best place to go. So I went there when I was 21, and I stayed there until I'm 56 and also taking care of people. Well, I got the message that I have to change my whole life because I'm missing out on loving myself and taking care of myself. So April the 30th of this year, I retired from that job to just be in this space. And I am, oh, wow, let me breathe a little bit. That is so big.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm 56 now, and it's not about an age thing. It's more about my desire is greater than my accomplishments in the external world. So I am honored to change, to go more into an inner world at that deepest level.
Beautiful. So what is your question? What would you like help seeing today?
My question is, what I don't know what that looks like to start over again. How do you walk a path that is so unknown?
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. I love that question. And the medicine is very similar to what we were just doing with Brandy. I don't know if you were listening while you were on hold, but what happens is this. So you spend your life in a career, and then you get up the courage to leave the career, and then you immediately start looking for what's the next external thing, right? Like starting over. When you just said that, it looked to me like starting over as in looking for how else can I serve, or how else am I supposed to be doing this so that I get fulfilled. And what I get is the medicine for you is filling up with yourself is the thing. That is the point. And it's only after you do that you're going to then start doing some stuff out in the world, but you'll be doing it from a place of wholeness where you are the compass. So like I talked about on the show last week, it can feel like you're lost when you're making these decisions that don't look like what other people do, leaving a long-term career or stepping out of an important project that looks like it would, do something for your career. But the compass within all of that is you being you, because that's the thing to return to. So whenever I'm swimming, I know that it's my ego that has me reaching outside of myself for some kind of directional or some kind of meaning or some kind of evidence that I'm on the right track. I'm saying all of that in quotes. And the peace comes when I turn inside and realize I'm already complete. I'm already whole. I'm already an infinite soul having a human experience, right? And then there's no pressure. And then there's no pressure because, I'm going to do some things in this lifetime, and it's going to be interesting and adventuresome and fun and painful and all of the things that humanness is. And the immutable truth is the infinity of your wholeness. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's so powerful what you're saying. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So what I hear you saying is that it's not like, in this space going out for the outer world, but it's all about going inward to embracing myself. Wow. Because, okay, I got to breathe into that.
Mm-hmm. Let's do that together. Yeah. I know. Can you even imagine if your whole life purpose was to learn to nurture yourself?
Okay, let me breathe into that.
Yes.
Let me just breathe into that. Wow, it seems so beyond, because what you're saying is your whole life purpose to this moment that I'm coming to with this clarity is just to, your purpose is you, like you or the you that you're looking for. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's so beyond.
Yeah, and let me just be clear. Your particular life purpose, Cookie, is to learn to nurture yourself. That is why you came here. It's why you've spent all the years you've spent nurturing everyone else and not yourself. And so you coming into the light is you saying, I am my most important thing.
Ooh. Okay, keep going.
Yeah. So I'd actually like to return to the breath with you. What I notice, you breathe like I breathe, which is we take shallow in breaths and then big out breaths, right? Which is an energetic reflection of how we live our lives. Lots of energy out to other people, letting very little in for ourselves. Does that make sense, what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to breathe into it together. This time we're going to take a big, big, big breath in. You're going to fill your lungs all the way up, even feeling them expanding out the back of your rib cage. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yeah, we're just going to do it.
My nose or my mouth?
Whatever feels most nurturing to you. And we're going to do this not from a conquering place, but from a really loving place, as if you were opening the doors and letting in the breath of fresh air, right, to this really stale place that's been the little bit of space you've given yourself over the years. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm going to close my eyes.
Okay. All right. Okay. When you're ready, let's take a big, deep breath in.
Okay, I'm ready.
There you go. A little more in. There. And then slowly, gently let some of it out. Relishing and keeping every possible morsel for yourself. And then we're going to do it again. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Big breath in. Let the oxygen fill every nook and cranny in your lungs. You deserve this, and there's an infinite supply just waiting for you. Relax into it. And then slowly, luxuriously begin to release some of the air out of your lungs. Mm-hmm. Good. So what did you notice as you did that?
What I noticed, the emptiness, the peacefulness.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is your practice. This is your homework, is to start with the breath. And you can do this for 5 minutes, you know. I would say you should probably sit down while you do it because you're going to get lightheaded because you're not used to having this much oxygen in your body. But play with expanding, with allowing more capacity for the in breath, right? And slowing down your tendency to push all the energy out. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. And then, you know, the essence exercise that I did with Brandy this time, we also did something similar on our very first show, Championing the Return of Essence. Listening to those exercises so that you begin to make contact with that which is you, right? That's the beginning of the foundation of this practice. And the untaming of your soul path. Beautiful. Congratulations on arriving at your purpose, my darling.
Right. And as I open my eyes when I'm back in this space in the room, what comes to me is that I'm on this path, and as I breathe into it, it's funny, I got this vision of these people, grabbing, at me. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
When I woke up, grabbing at me to come their way, but I'm just breathing.
Yes. Yeah, because they also have lungs, right? And so they can totally take care of themselves. It's an illusion.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, and the reason you've pulled them in is because you're like, really? All this for me? What about them? Which is, a version of what you've done throughout your life. So you get to just be. You've earned this. You have earned it. By the way, you didn't have to earn it, but your system will feel good knowing you've earned it, right?
So, write that down. Oh, wow. It's even better than a raise. I earned it.
Yes.
Okay, and I deserve it.
You deserve it. Mm-hmm.
Wow, that is incredible. You wait a lifetime to hear that, especially after you're taking care of people at the end, it's not the end saying how many people I've taken care of. It's, have I loved myself well enough?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Wow. Yes. Thank you for being you. And thank you for your medicine today.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Goodbye,
so
my love.
For you and who you are. And I shall be who I am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, we are going to take one last caller. So welcome to, is this Brooks?
Yeah.
Hello, you're live on the air. How are you?
I'm doing well, a little bit shaky as well.
Yes. Thanks for waiting. I'm glad that you're here. It feels important.
Oh, thank you. I can't say I have a specific question. I feel very open to whatever you see and are inspired to reflect. I'm, in a place where I definitely feel very disconnected from my essence. I feel like I have a difficult time tuning into myself and my inner wisdom and sort of to get guidance. So that's definitely an area that I'd like some healing around. But then the overall context of my life where I feel very challenged is having been single for a long time and trying to get some more finances generated, like just kind of feeling in this sort of stagnant holding pattern, in sort of an unknown, like a real limbo phase of my life. Meanwhile, having a lot of desires and dreams and visions for what I want to create, but not really manifest in that phase of manifesting or seeing any outer movement.
Mm-hmm. I got it. Great. Okay, so as I look into the energy, what I notice is this pattern that you have of not actually putting yourself into your life, right? So what I see is you stepping aside for everything else. Like, oh, the wind blew, I need to step aside. Oh, my kids need me. Oh, I have to do this work thing, right? And so it's you have fallen into living this someday life, Someday I'm going to pursue my stuff, but for now I'm going to step aside for your stuff. Does that resonate?
Not quite, because I actually feel very self-absorbed and self-focused and selfish. I don't have children at the moment. I don't have a lot of responsibilities to other people other than myself. So I feel pretty internalized in a way.
Well, it's interesting because you almost look invisible. Like when I look at you energetically, it's hard to see you. So there's a way that you're ghosting in your life. So let's explore what that is about.
I mean, that makes sense in terms of, a couple of shows ago, I think you talked about, not being fully in. Like, I do feel like you were talking about your house or your property where you are. There's sort of that feeling of, because I don't really want to be where I am geographically or physically or energetically, like I want to be somewhere else. I do feel that I'm probably I'm not fully embodying where I am. I'm sort of holding out for some future manifestation that I really want more. There's definitely some of that, and I definitely do feel invisible, and I think I want to be invisible in many ways because of some shame and self-consciousness that feels like there's definitely a veil of shame and self-consciousness that I hide behind.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Okay, good. Perfect. So, so let's see if we can play with that. Because really the first thing that I felt when you began talking was, the manifestation piece is not happening because you largely haven't planted a stake, right, anywhere of saying, this is my desire and I'm going to stand for it. There's a way of giving away your power to if the right thing manifested, then I would follow it or I would know it or I would do it, right? But you have it backward because what's going to manifest is when you plant a stake and say this and this, right? And then it's going to show up that way. So when you show up ambivalent and indecisive and trying not to be seen, then your manifestations can't occur, right? They can't find you because the universe is like, well, does she want this or does she want this? So it's an inside out job. We often fall into the opposite, right? We think that something outside of us can save us from ourselves. And if that would just show up, then we'd freaking know, right? Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So are you willing to play for a minute?
Definitely.
Okay, so let's see I'd like you to close your eyes.
Yeah.
Go ahead and just receive a breath to center in here for a moment. Good. So I want you to imagine that what you're standing on energetically is the most fertile soil. When somebody does a professional gardening bed, and they come in with all the new dirt and you barely have to move it, to dig it aside. It's just all fluffy and fertile. Yes. All right. So I want you to imagine you're standing on the widest field made of that type of foundation. As far as you can see in every direction, you could plant anything here and it would grow. Right, so just notice what it feels like to stand in that space. Good. Now I want you to imagine that in your hand magically appears a mystical staff, right? Like a magician's staff. And it's long, it's even taller than your head, so it's maybe 8 feet tall. Right? And it has a beautiful crystal at the top. And at the bottom is a point. So that if you decide to, here in a minute, you could plant that in the dirt. You could give it a very firm, plant down in the earth. And it would go all the way down and in so that it would be firmly planted. And it would be the signal of you arriving in your life right here in this moment. How does it feel when I say that to you?
There's definitely some resistance. I'm not really sure what that's about, but it's sort of like, well, I'm not sure how to do that.
Yeah.
Or I'm not sure I want to do. Like, what do I get out of that?
Yes.
A little bit.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that great? Right? So, like, well, what would I have to do if I arrived in my life? You know, I might have to do some things. I might make mistakes. People might see me and then they might not like me, right? Mm-hmm. So it's all of the reason that you're running from your life and being invisible even while you're in it. So here's the thing. You can keep doing that, right? You can totally keep doing it. But you're already more powerful in this moment because you now know you've been doing that, right? So you're no longer a victim to what hasn't shown up or the universe not giving you your manifestations or any of those pieces, right? So just feel that piece for this moment. Just feel how like, oh, okay, so I'm not a victim to my life and I might choose to keep being invisible if I want to, right? You totally have that option. And I mean this sincerely. I'm not trying to trick you into saying yes. You need to give your system that out if you want it to play with you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Right? So just feel that like I could throw this staff down and run the other direction. I do not have to do this if I don't want to. Right? And so notice what occurs when you give yourself that option.
I guess there's something coming up around if I put the stake down, it's almost like it feels like it's closing the door on all that I've envisioned for myself and want to create for myself.
Right. Right. So what I'm getting is in your core wounding, there's a piece around, there's a payoff in being stuck in indecision. So you have been living in purgatory, like seeing this life you want for yourself, but then being committed to not living that life. And so this is the moment when you're waking up to that. Like, okay, here I stand on the threshold and I can go back, which is like shutting a door, or I can move forward, which is scary and uncomfortable, right? The cool thing about moving out of purgatory is an illusion, right? We give ourselves this tiny little threshold to stand on, and it's like, oh, that way is bad and that way is bad. So I'm just going to stand here, which is also bad. Do you see what I mean? Mm-hmm. So if we lose the illusion that there are three different places, and just imagine it being a flow, right? So sometimes you're going to be indecisive, and sometimes you're going to close a door and retreat, and sometimes you're going to move forward into something new and uncomfortable or something new and amazing, right? And if you can start imagining that as a continuum rather than a place where you're going to be stuck. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. There's the freedom. All right, so imagine you can drop those walls and just feel the horizon expanding out in all directions. These unlimited options. You can walk in any direction. You can walk in circles. You can walk in a spiral. You can stand still, and it's all right. Does that make sense?
It does, although rationally I don't feel like I have options right now.
Mm-hmm. That's because you haven't planted your staff yet. Right? So right now, what I want you to tune into is this is what a life looks like, is this wide open expanse that is anything you create. So right now in your system, you've been holding this belief that if I commit to this life, I can't ever go back. I can't uncommit. I can't change my mind, all of those pieces. What I want you to see is there are no mistakes. There is no problem with going any direction. It's all available to you. It's your playground waiting for you to say, oh, here's my playground. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have two options here. One is you can hang on to this staff and you can play with it on your own. You know, you can kind of keep visiting this space and seeing like, am I willing to plant it today? What would need to happen for me to plant it? Or, and I don't want you to perform this, right? So if it doesn't feel like a yes for you, don't do it right now. But if it feels like a yes, then we could powerfully plant it today saying, I'm willing to be a warrior for my own life. I'm willing to be a stand for what I came here to be. You plant the staff and then you start looking around for which direction do you go first. So feel into those options and let me know how you would like to proceed.
Well, I do feel inspired by being the warrior of my own life, but then it's like, well, then there's that not trusting my decision to pick the right direction or what's the next step from there.
Yep. And that's the cool thing about all of us life warriors. We have no fucking idea where we're going, right? We have no idea. We're wandering around. But the cool thing is there's a landing that happens within yourself when you make the commitment, so that there's nothing outside of you that's going to be validating, oh, this was the right way, because the only validation happens within you, right? It's the right way because you chose it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so then instead of being a ghost bumping around in the life, you get to show up as the creator of the life, the director of the life. And the director can make the movie look any way they want it to, right? Because it's their story.
Yeah, I'm liking that idea. I mean, I'm here with you today, and I would like to make a commitment to something different than what I've been committing to.
Great. All right. So let's do it.
Sounds good.
Okay. So big deep breath. I want you to feel your body. I want you to feel the indecision, right? Feel the demanding and resisting. The demanding of I want this different life, and the resisting of I'm not going to give it to myself. Like, see if you can create the maximum tension in your body that you possibly could, right? That feeling where it feels like you're going to burst because it's like you don't know which way to go. Let me know when you're at the apex of that.
Okay.
All right. And then when it feels right, when it feels so uncomfortable that you have to break out of that tension, I want you to imagine grabbing that stick and you're going to jam it into the ground, planting it firmly, claiming this life for yourself. You can make a sound if you want, or you can just do it internally.
Okay.
What do you notice?
Still some tension there. I mean, it's still very, I still feel anxiety doing it. I mean, there's something powerful, but there's anxiety on the other side.
Totally. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, welcome to being in your life, right? So there will be anxiety. That doesn't mean you didn't do it right. And I can feel that the attachment to maybe like, well, maybe I want to pull that up out of the ground, right? So, you can continue playing with this and visiting it. If you want to actually have some more support around it, we could do some energy coaching sessions to actually get you there. We don't really have the time to go all the way into it today. But yeah, so you can play with it yourself. Just come back and listen to this, or the space now. So come back and check out your staff, right? Know that each day you come, you may have to make this choice again. You may have to decide like, you know what, I want to pull my staff up and I want to not be in my power. I totally do that, right? Some days I do that consciously and a lot of days I do it unconsciously. And then, I wake back up and I say, oh no, planting the staff, I'm here, I'm in this, So that is the humanness. That's what it's like to be in a life, is you continually arrive here. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. So this is the genesis of that for you. This is the beginning. You know where to come and you get to start playing with it.
And then how do you weigh that, okay, putting the stake in the ground, arriving in my life, with maybe things not being ideal or wanting them to be different or having visions or desires and visualizing, and like how do you kind of weigh that balance?
Yeah, so here's the thing. Up until now, you've been weighing all of those things that aren't going the way you're wanting them to go from a place of not actually being in the driver's seat of changing them, right? So when you're a ghost, you bump around and you're like, oh, I wish that piece of furniture wasn't there, but I can't, I'm not even solid. I can't move it, right? So you're walking around in victim. So now you have the ability to actually be in your life and start playing with, can I move that piece of furniture? Where would I want it to go if I wanted to move it, right? So this is really where your life begins. And life isn't about things being perfect or always getting your way. Life is about living. Life is about having this human experience. And so sometimes that means, we're in pain, and sometimes it means we're happy and joyful and passionate, but you can't fully experience any of that spectrum if you're ghosting around. Does that make sense?
Okay, thanks for that clarification.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome. You're welcome. So thank you for playing. It was beautiful to be with you, and thanks for being honest. What I love is this experience for people to hear that it's not always wrapped up in a pretty little bow. Like sometimes the path is messy, and sometimes we can't find our way out of the resistance. And sometimes our ego needs a lot of assurances before we do the thing that everyone else can see. Why doesn't she just plant the stake, right? But when you're in the hot seat, sometimes it doesn't happen, and we totally honor that. This is not a game of perfect, and it's not about, being something you're not. It's about looking honestly at what is. And, and the biggest commitment is being in pursuit of the light, right? So you can see that. So even if you decide to keep ghosting, right, to know that, okay, I'm ghosting and I know there's this other place over here that I can go when I'm ready. That's all any of us can really do. Yeah?
Yes. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome. You're welcome. Beautiful. So thanks for playing. It was beautiful to be with you. And there is support in the tribe if you are not already there, or if you're listening and you'd like to be part of the behind the scenes ongoing discussion. You can join us at facebook.com/groups/Wild Soul Medicine Radio Tribe. That's Wild Soul Medicine Radio Tribe on Facebook. We would love to have you join us there, and we will look forward to being together again next Wednesday, same time. Until then, my loves, return to the light. Bye.
We light a candle, our hearts awake. Illumination, for God's sake. A revelation, for God's sake. An inspiration, for God's sake. Illumination, for God's sake. For God's sake. For God's sake.